back again. We're talking about the new Apple Mac OS X that they said, that they unveiled. They unveiled a new Mac OS X for Apple, and the question is, what did they, what did they call it? That's the question. What did they call this new operating system? Now, when the guy got up there, he was talking about that. He said Apple didn't want to be the only company that had a delay in its new operating system because there was a shortage of cats. He said those are his exact words. We don't want Apple to be the only company that is late releasing products because of a shortage of cats. They started out with leopard. When they started this cat thing, it started with leopard. Then the next iteration was snow leopard. Then they went with lion. And then the next iteration was mountain lion. So now they're saying, okay, all right, we're getting kind of thin. And the guy actually said, too, he was like, so what should we call this next one? Sea lion? He actually said that. Up there, of course, everybody was, everyone was, thinking it was funny and all of this type of stuff. But in the end, Apple announced its new operating system. They say they went back to the hills of California. They went back to where it all began. And they're calling the new OS X, drum roll please, Mavericks. That's the name of the new OS X. It's OS X Mavericks, not Maverick, Mavericks. So you have to put the S on the end. They said this is that will be the new operating system for their line of MacBook Airs and MacBook Pro. The tech giant made the announcement at the Worldwide Developer Conference, and CEO Tim Cook, he was the one that really, he was, for this thing, man, Mavericks. That's the name of their new operating system. Now, they talked about some functionality with this new operating system. A lot of functionality with it. A lot of things that came with it that I thought was, some of it was pretty cool. Some of it was updates they should have had. They talked about the new operating system features on Finders, tabs, and tags for multiple displays. Now, Finder now has tabs for easier multitasking. Anything can be tagged anywhere in OS X and be found through a search in Finder. Multiple displays make using more than one screen more intuitive by having the dock appear active on any screen that you're looking on. Now, let me tell you more about this Apple Finder in the new Mac OS X Mavericks. What it does is, let's say you're working on a file and you want to tag this thing as, because right in the side, just like when you have Windows and then you have your accessories and all that stuff, right on the side there's a Finders tab that's automatically going to be there. Finders tab, and then in the tab it has some presets as far as like importance, birthdays. It has some preset tabs in there that you can use, but you can also create tabs on the fly. So what it does is, you would say, if you're working on a document, you would say important or personal or whatever. You would tag it as that. And no matter where you save it, whether it's a music file, whether it's a document file, because sometimes when you're saving a lot of files, and if you don't remember where you saved it, it can be anywhere on your computer, and then you have to go into the search, and then you have to kind of remember what you named it. Because you're like, oh man, what did I name it? And then if you don't type what you named, the computer can't find it. So it's lost in cyberspace. Well, Apple's upgrade in Mac OS X Mavericks, what they did is they came up with this Finders tab that has, these presets, importance, whatnot, and then you can make any name, and the name appears in that list. So if you have something that's important, and you tag, when you do the document, it'll ask you to tag it. So you tag it as important. And when you save it, it doesn't matter where you save it, because when you boot up OS X again, the Finders tab is there. You go in, and it has the list of important, personal. It has those lists right there. So even if you don't remember where you saved it, just click on any one of those, and then it'll tell you everything that you have in important, everything that you have in video, everything that you have, no matter where it's saved on the computer, everything will come up. So it makes it a much easier way if you forgot what you saved it as, you don't remember, it doesn't matter. You just go into the Finders tab. You don't have to type in the name. You just go in, because you would have had to have tagged it before you saved it. It's not like you could save it and didn't tag it. Oh man. No, that's a part of the step to save it. So once you tag it, then it doesn't matter now where you saved it. Automatically you can find it because it's going to be in one of those tabs. So I thought that was pretty cool. That was something. Windows tried that a while back, but it wasn't as intuitive, and then they just gave up on it rather than trying to flesh it out and build it really like how it should have been. But the way Apple used it, it was pretty good. You know, the Apple's tabs. Then they talked about the technology dealing with a feature called AppNap that directs power to apps that need it and cancels power to apps that don't need it. It's a more efficient way of using the PC, of using your CPU rather. So apps or applications that you're using in Mac that need power to continue using, it will reroute power to those, and ones that can run without so much power, it takes power away, because right now in the Apple, or how apps run, they take power just being on. Once they're on, they're just going to, whether they need the power or not. It's kind of like when you have those big plugs. You ever get a electronic equipment that has those big transformer type plugs that you plug into stuff? Well, those plugs continually, not the ones that's just a regular plug and you put it in just a regular small and you put it in the outlet. No, those ones that have that big thing that you have to grip and then you put it in the outlet, those things continually draw power. You know, and that's why even when you have it off or you don't have the device plugged in, it doesn't matter. It's continually drawing power. So, like the Xbox, for example, 360 has this big brick, is what it's called, that's attached to it, the power cord. If you leave it plugged in, it's going to continually draw power from the wall. So even if you did nothing else, your power bill is going to go up because it's continually drawing power. That's kind of like how the apps work. They continually draw power whether they need it or not. But what Apple has done in their AppNap, the feature called AppNap, it provides power directly to apps that need it and cancels power to ones that don't. And they call it a timer cold scaling, I think, monitors the CPU activity, and it will reroute the power to the apps that need it. Now, Apple deepened the integration between the desktop and mobile devices software. The OS 10 Mavericks is also getting what they call iCloud Keychain for storing passwords, calendar updates with continuing scrolling, and iBook features. Kind of like LastPass. If you have LastPass, it's kind of like that type of feature, to where they're giving you the ability to store passwords within a single password, so therefore you don't have to remember that password. You just remember the one. Like in LastPass, you just remember LastPass password, and then it opens up your vault to everything else. They came up with something like that for iCloud. Notifications will send and push notifications, iMessage and IMS to the desktop, so you can, like when you're dealing with maps on OS 10, they made it to where you can look up something, directions, and then you can transfer that to your mobile device. So you're going to be able to transfer that to your iPad, or transfer that to your iPhone and stuff like that, you know, via the cloud. So if you're looking for directions on your MacBook Air or MacBook Pro and you find it and then you're not going to carry it with you, you can just shoot those directions right to your handheld device and keep on walking. And that's what they're saying, that these are just some of the things that's available, some of the things that's available in the new Mac OS 10. So, you know, Apple was really, you know, they were really on fire. You know, they said a lot of things at this conference that when you looked at it, you said, okay. Now, they talked about, as we were talking about, their Apple Maps. And really, the only thing that they did with Apple Maps was they offered, they just made it more accurate. You know, because the 3D modeling and the finding restaurants and things like that, that's stuff that Google has been doing, you know, and other direction finders have been doing for a long time. So that was nothing new. But they're saying that now with their apps, not just the Map Apple, with their apps, remember we said before, one of the things that Apple, their apps did that, you know, at least I didn't like, was that anytime an app needed updating, it would tell you, it would give you an icon over the app letting you know it needed updating, but then you had to click it, go into the App Store, then click Update All, and then it would take time to update everything, at the same time. I mean, not at the same time, but it would update all the apps that needed updating, but you had to physically go in and do it. Google updates the apps automatically. You don't have to do anything. Well, Apple must have seen the light, because now their App Store in iOS 7 will update apps automatically. No more waiting, or you have to manually update it. It's going to update the apps automatically, because, I mean, when you think about it, why wouldn't you have automatic updates? Because, viruses and spyware comes out all the time, so you want the constant updates to protect against that. You don't need to ask me. That's like your bank asking you, hey, do you want us to add an extra level of encryption over your account so that it doesn't get broken into? You don't need to ask me that. Just do it. Because obviously that's something I want. It's not costing me anything. So yes, that's something I want. So Apple just, I don't know why they would just have an update and then just alert you, hey, you can update this if you want. Do you want to? Why wouldn't I want to? If it's going to make the app better, So they have finally seen the light and decided that they're going to allow apps to update themselves automatically. So this was something that I thought was pretty good, for Apple, but a little late to the game, but they're upping to where they should be. They also unveiled their new version of iWork software, Apple iWork iCloud, which is basically the cloud-based version of iWork that will work exactly like the desktop version of the software. They showed off the iWork at this WWDC and so forth, and how it works. So Apple really came out with a lot of stuff that some of them were just upgrades, and some of them were things that they really needed to do. Now we're coming up again on another break, and after the break,
you have 4 minutes.
Got 4 minutes?
Yeah.
You're saying?
Yeah.
Okay, so they're saying I got 4 minutes.
2 minutes. 2 minutes.
So I got 2 minutes. Okay, so there you go. Just like that, we went from 4 right down to 2. So we're going to immediately, not immediately, but we're going to head into our break here coming up in a little bit. But after the break, we're now going to shift gears to E3. Microsoft made their announcement. Sony made their announcement. And then you had like EA and Ubisoft, or Ubisoft, whatever you want to call them, other people making their announcement. And they're having more coverage today, which we're going to, watch here in a little bit. But they came up with, we're going to find out what Sony did, we're going to find out what Microsoft did, and who really won in this E3 console war. So all of that is coming up right after the break. So stay tuned. We will be back.